removed from the side of Darwon, and the LeBlanc respect going over towards Showmaker. So very standard, along with Darwon actually removing some of that power from the bot side of the map. Typically, we've been seeing a lot of Yumis and Namis removed. Often the Lucian can sneak through, but the problem for Mad is you also have to remember that Khan can play that Lucian up towards the top side, along with it being an option in the bot lane as well.
Yuumi continues to sit on the ban bench alongside Jarvan here from Damwon. They want to take away that aggressive early jungler from Elyoya.
TF is the last ban. Does mean Lee Sin is available here if they want to look for something like that. This is one of the really high priority junglers that has been slipping through picks and bans a bit more often as things like Yuumi and TF are getting banned more in this event.
I do wonder if Poppy will make a resurgence at all in this best of 5. We did see Elyoya bring it out when they played up against LNG to great success, and when there is so much mobility in the current meta, you have to imagine that Poppy just has so much more value, but you imagine that this Lee Sin will be going into the jungle, into the hands of Canyon. Again, still considered likely the best jungler in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Graves getting picked up there for Armut. We see, well, yes, it could be flex to jungle, but really you are expecting it top. Will be interesting to see if there's any chance of a takeaway here from Damwon, on something like the Thresh pick. We are expecting that pairing to be there for Kaiser and Carzzy when you see the Aphelios come through.
Interested to see the Graves here as well for Mad. Actually, the first time they picked that across the course of Worlds. It is Elyoya's most played in the entirety of his career, but as you said, Azael usually goes up towards the top side. MF locked in on the side of Damwon. Alongside that, they're looking for Showmaker's Syndra here in the middle lane.
Wow. So I wasn't actually expecting a blind Syndra, but we've seen a lot of success from Syndra so far at the World Championship. It does seem that after many of the roaming mid laners haven't been able to, well, have often been removed, usually during the ban phase, Syndra's kind of risen as that safer blind that has actually been very powerful in terms of offering control in the laning phase and also being very impactful in teamfights later on.
And it makes it a difficult decision here for Mad, because you either answer mid right now or you pick your Thresh. They did not go for support, so now there's the opportunity for Damwon to ban out some of those preferential support pairings that the Aphelios does have.
Getting into the second phase though, Mad looked up towards their top lane early, which means that they aren't saving that top lane for counterpick. I wonder if it will be jungle or support left up for that R5. Mad, of course, do like to put a lot of impetus on Kaiser to get ahead, to get those ganks off, to get those engages off. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like the Rakan coming out from him.
So Kennen gets banned out. I'm curious if they're actually going to leave Khan's Jax up. He did absolutely destroy Odoamne on that matchup. That is available, but there's also the Jace here still too. So, you know, it depends. Is Mad really worried about one of those matchups over the other? If they're worried about both, hey, you can leave them both up and actually target a different pick, something like a support here. But I do think Jax would make a lot of sense given how well Khan performed on it during the group stage.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because we've seen Khan play both sides of the matchup and he won both of them during the group stages.
Well, he might be good.
He might be quite good. But for now, it seems that Mad is saying we think the Jace is a bigger problem. We would rather take that matchup because I believe during the laning phase, Graves should be able to get ahead early against the Jax. The question is, can you do that against Khan's Jax?
And they could actually replicate what Cloud9 did, where they did a similar thing. The Jax came through and then they flexed Graves to jungle and actually picked a preferential top lane matchup on red side. This is a very similar draft actually to what, you know, Cloud9 was kind of setting up, and that was a very, very close game. Damwon won it. They won all their games, spoiler. But that was the longest game that Damwon had, and they did actually create a pretty big advantage over Khan's Jax in the top lane during that one.
And by picking the Leona here, they allow themselves to do that. Take the support, give yourself the possibility of flexing that Graves around. Damwon now have to blind pick their top laner, or perhaps think that that Graves is going to go towards the top lane. Rakan, a great engage tool, teams up well with the combination alongside the Misfortune. Bullet time and the quickness can work very synergistically.
Certainly can, and I think that Rakan has actually just been so impactful. Ironically, for a lot of the Western teams, I feel, at this tournament, a lot of Western supports really liking the roaming potential and engage tools that Rakan does have, but we will see that in the hands of Beryl going into Kaiser's Leona. So we're going to have engage supports, which I know you're definitely excited about, Medic. These are your favorite supports to cast and watch. And now we're going to find out what will Mad do. Will they keep this Graves into the top side? Because Khan has picked not the strongest early game matchup, but definitely a greater scaling matchup as the game progresses.
I mean, if they want to try the Jax again, Jax is actually a pretty good matchup to actually scale and answer that Gwen. But Armut did not look super comfortable on Jax when he brought it out in the group stage. So I actually feel like I would prefer them to just play towards comfort here.
I feel like this would be a great Poppy game. Once again, Rakan, Lee Sin. But it looks like that instead they will go for the flex option.
Flex, yeah. This time, though, it wasn't actually the Jax, because I think Damwon had the read that this could be happening. They go for the Gwen instead. Gwen can farm it out against champions like Graves. Yes, you may expect Gnar to get an early advantage, but it's not a massive one. Gwen is actually pretty difficult to punish in those side lanes unless you're going for really aggressive early picks or things that can scale alongside it.
Damwon Kia up against Mad Lions. The LCK first seed up against the LEC's first seed. And as we get on into the game, let's listen to this world's anthem, Burn It All Down, the Bezomorph remix.
It's a tense one. Game 1 of this best of 5. We're guaranteed 3. We know that.
The glass is half full.
Guaranteed 3.
We will also have League of Legends here today.
We have League of Legends today.
10 champions will be on the Rift.
But we haven't talked much about these compositions in their entirety. Thinking about what Damwon have drafted, I do think they have pretty good scaling. I think they have an incredibly powerful mid-jungle duo, and I think that this is really where you have to keep your eyes on in this early game.
Absolutely.
Because my expectations would be that they leverage the power that they have with the Syndra in the early matchup, along with the Lee Sin, to force the Orianna back, even just getting her flash to mitigate her control in the lane, and then look to threaten either the bot side of the map or potentially the top, because we do know that teams, especially domestically, have looked to attack Armut when he's playing champions like the Gnar, so even if he is on comfort, they shut him down in the early game.
Yeah, the 2v2 from Damwon is incredibly strong. Even the 3v3, if you're bringing up Beryl, if you're bringing up Kaiser, is going to be very, very dangerous for Mad Lions. Graves in the early game just not going to have the same level of impact as that Lee Sin. So they're really going to have to do a good job of actually tracking Canyon, more looking to answer ganks and avoid them as Elyoya.
I also think that Mad's comp overall is relatively short range. With things like Graves and Aphelios, I may have to hold my point here as Damwon already moving into the enemy jungle early on, but it looks like not too much is going to come off the back of that. But I do think that Mad later on into the game, while they have scaling elements with Orianna being very powerful in the late game, with Aphelios also being a strong late game champion alongside the Graves, you kind of look at what they're playing into, and Syndra Misfortune, with the amount of zone control that they can have and the amount of threat that they have, if they are ever first on the objective, it becomes very difficult for Mad to actually approach without the reliance on Kaiser or potentially finding a flank. So I think that Damwon is kind of setting themselves up for success largely just because of this Syndra pick and how well it can actually answer a lot of the champions that Mad have drafted themselves.
And of course, if you want to set up on an objective first, usually you need to have a gold lead, an item lead, a tempo lead coming into the mid game, and that's not something that Mad Lions have done that often across this world. It's definitely a weak early game team where they're team fighting, allowing them to shine later on.
Yeah, I think that when we kind of look at how their early game has gone, Mad's early game definitely has not been the strongest. You just kind of take a comparison, and obviously you can see that Damwon, they do win a lot, but they always take first tower. They average a 3k gold lead at 15 minutes.
That's terrifying.
Like they average 2 kills at 15 minutes, and you contrast that to Mad, like you can see quite a stark contrast in the stats.
And interestingly, you see a lot of seconds there for Damwon. The only team better than them is T1. So LCK dominance seems to be coming back on the menu right now. Kaiser and Kazi getting pushed out here. The Arcane Comet on Ghost with that Make It Rain doing a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Really just kind of itemizing there, rather ruining for the lane. And Showmaker has just been hitting Q after Q after Q on Humanoid, and he probably has to go back to base here. He's actually out of Corrupting Potion charges. He wants to stick around to actually stave and try to get that wave, but it's getting a little bit dicey there for Humanoid in mid.
So this ward will spot out Elyoya's positioning as he has decided to do a full topside clear. Meanwhile, Canyon started on his red, pathing up towards the top side. But really good damage coming out from Showmaker in the early game. Syndra is one of those champions that in the early game, especially into an Orianna, I was kind of surprised to see the Orianna come out from Humanoid because in the 1v1, it's not the strongest as you see more trading in bot lane.
Ignite down onto Bell, of course he can just jump away. No, actually wasn't the Ignite, sorry, Kaiser still has that.
I thought he used Ignite as well.
Yeah, it did look like it, but wasn't burned.
Man, he has just been relentless in this laning phase, hitting almost every single skill shot, and Armut dangerously low here. Khan actually winning the early levels is surprising, has been very good at actually hitting the center of the stip. He's actually playing Ghost as well, which is really powerful in the 1v1 later on against the Gnar. You know, it makes it much more difficult for Gnar to keep distance. You pop the Ghost, even if he hops back, you can often close that gap again and really chase this guy down.
And because of the ward that was spotted Elyoya on the Razor Beaks as well, they know he's pathing down towards the bottom side, allowing Khan to step forward in that lane to harass down Armut. Means that Armut's going to have to burn his TP early. So is Humanoid, and Humanoid already takes the chunk. Canyon in a good position here for what could be the first gank of the game. Doesn't land it. Showmaker low on mana, will just back away.
But I think Showmaker won't even need to use his TP in this situation. He can likely just walk back into lane, have that TP advantage, and you can already see how Damwon's early laning phase prowess is already netting them small advantages across the board. CS lead starting to build up in top and mid, and the fact that Damwon had priority in all 3 lanes gives Canyon so much agency to kind of do whatever he wants. So Damwon already off the bat showcasing very strong performance early on.
Absolutely, and it gets pretty tough here for Armut when he had to actually base. He couldn't even afford any potions, so if he does take any bad trades, he's not going to really have a way to recover from that. But thankfully for him, Khan did take a tower shot, and will even things out a little bit on the top side.
Armut also running that fleet footwork too, getting a little bit of sustain during the laning phase as well, but definitely something to be concerned about as well. Keeping my eyes on Canyon as well, because that mid lane is always that point that's very, very scary for the Mad Lions, especially with how much Showmaker is playing. And remember that when you kind of have this Graves versus Lee Sin matchup, Graves just kind of wants to focus on power farming, wants to make sure that you can kind of scale up, whereas ganking...
Humanoid going to get locked up with the stun flashes away. And will be a summoner burnt there. Khan here underneath the tower. Elyoya was spotted on vision. Khan's going to try and turn back in. No flash on the Gwen, remember. Canyon on his way up. Armut just trying to play with Khan for the moment, but Khan just keeps dodging around. Elyoya's like, I can't stay any longer because Canyon could be here.
Man, just look at the vision that they actually have all the way down this river. This whole line of vision across the map here for Damwon. From top to bot, so many wards covering there.
Kaiser going in for the fight down towards the bottom side. Beryl putting a chunk down onto Kazi. There's the TP coming in from Damwon, and Kaiser will be sacrificed for this one. You have to think. Showmaker looking for the flash Q, can't quite land it. Kazi able to dodge to the side. Kaiser able to kill off Beryl, gets first blood. It's answered. Damwon will take the 2-for-1 deal in the bottom lane.
Nicely done here. Showmaker with the TP advantage. He held onto the TP. He won the mid lane there, and now down to bot. Kaiser does get a kill, but Armut, no, there's no flash, so he should be able to keep distance, but this is what you're worried about. When you don't have those potions, these situations become so dangerous. They don't actually have eyes on Canyon right now. For all he knows, Canyon could be pathing up towards top, and we'll see if Armut does want to stay around because Khan just hit 6. The potential of a dive is definitely there.
Really impressive early game so far from Damwon, and just really great utilization of the teleport from Showmaker to help DK get those early kills.
You guys want to get involved in the conversation? Verizon 5G Ultra Armut has to flash the needles. And perhaps you have something to say about that. Join us, give us your cheers, tell us who you're supporting.
No flash on Showmaker, and Kaiser is making his way towards mid lane. Humanoid has 6.
Stun's going to land there on Showmaker. There's a shockwave coming back as well. And Showmaker, no flash, as you said. Very caught out underneath the tower, but Beryl is blocking this beautifully. And Elyoya can't get the autos off in the end. They do manage to do it. Mad equalize the scoreline.
So Mad, they get themselves a punish onto Showmaker. Even though he did TP down into bot and assist his bot lane in getting a kill, he had to invest a lot to get it. And Kaiser, recognizing this, looks for a roam into mid, leveraging Elyoya's numbers advantage. They're able to find themselves a kill. So the gold will actually equalize, even though Mad find themselves a little bit behind in the mid and top lane 1v1.
Was a close thing, but really nicely done there from Matt. You know, good CCG and layering the shockwave over top. Elyoya is there, and that was really the difference maker as Canyon was not around. Matt really needed that. You're going to get the kill. You're going to deny the wave. That's going to help to equalize things in the mid lane quite a lot.
It's one of the things that has really made Kaiser shine as a support in the LEC and here at Worlds. His ability to get out of the lane, to roam around, to influence the rest of the map. He actually spent less than 30% of his time in the group stage with his AD carry in the first 15 minutes. It was the lowest duo proximity of all supports. Beryl was close, 37%, but that 7 percentage point difference can mean all the difference in fights like this.
Certainly can, and it paid off this time around for Mad. But now that we're kind of getting to the 8-minute mark, we're thinking about that Herald and what both teams want to do. If you've ever watched a T1 game, you know that they love prioritizing that Herald, and you know that when it comes to Damwon, when it comes to these early objectives, they have a lot of prior on it as well. With the leverage that they have in mid, to contest it.
Elyoya does still have flash, has the quick draw to jump across the wall as well, but as you say, Damwon Kia gained control of the vision in that topside river. Kaiser working his way up here from the bottom lane.
So notice that Kaiser is just sacking a wave bot, waiting for Kazi to catch the wave so that he can get to the Herald first. But now, Ghost will be able to rotate before the enemy AD carry counterpart, and because you're Misfortune, you will be able to rotate very quickly. So Damwon should have numbers advantage, should a fight break out.
Yeah, I don't know if Matt are going to want to fight this. Arma just expended the ultimate to actually push the wave here. So not having the Mega Gnar ult available does make things dicey. The scatter lands!
Kaiser stunned up, of course very tanky with that Eclipse on the Leona. Wave pushed in the mid lane.
I saw the same bullet time that you did, Azel. I was expecting
I was like, are they going to do it?
Yeah. But instead, they're just going to use it as a warning shot. For now, Damwon will leverage their numbers advantage to secure themselves the Herald, and Mad are making the trade for the Drake. Or at least that's what I expect, as we see Showmaker working with Canyon to secure that objective.
It's also interesting to see that Beryl actually did go Spell Thieves this time around. You're not going Relic Shield. A lot of Rakans do prefer to go the tankier option when you are playing against CC-heavy supports like the Leona. You have the ability to lock him down, and they're trying to punish on bot side knowing that Canyon is top.
Beryl can't see Ghost. He couldn't jump to him because of the smoke screen. That's the reason he had to flash out of it and then dance away. Really good stuff there by Elyoya.
I hate that spell.
But Kaiser did end up missing his E. I don't know what direction he was throwing that, but I don't think he was smoke screened.
It was a warning shot, you know, just like mid lane.
But yeah, I think that Mad actually missed a big opportunity there to get themselves a kill. And the thing is now that while they committed to that, they won't actually be able to secure the Drake, or at least it's a little more risky because they don't actually have information on Canyon. With Khan's TP also coming up, it becomes a much more dangerous objective, and Ghost can just be a pain because thanks to that ward.
Part of my concern here is just Khan is having such a good time. It feels like in the top lane, you know, already up about 2 waves there on this scaling pick. He's just on tabbies, right? When you actually get up towards Riftmaker, Gwen becomes like a whole new champion. This is like a Pokemon, you hit the next evolution, and it gets really, really hard, I think, for the Gnar towards those later stages to answer.
Yeah, I think that one of the big scaling advantages that Damwon does have is, like, we talked about the range earlier on, but who matches Khan on a side lane, right? Like, sure, you can send Khan off to hold the wave, but at no point will you really be able to stop Khan from doing Gwen things and generating so much pressure that no one can really answer.
Exactly, and if you're just locked into standing at your tower, clearing out waves, well, that gives Damwon first move. You push in, you move, you tax a teleport, you go back, you repeat, now you have TP advantage. These types of plays are very difficult to answer, and so many teams have been utilizing that kind of pressure to take over a third quadrant of the jungle here at Worlds.
Ahmed expending the TP to the top side means that Mad Lions do not have that extra teleport to get down to this fight. Damwon Kia have control of the bottom side river, and Khan continues just to push in the top lane. A 16 CS lead at the 11-minute mark as Canyon and Beryl look to set something up. They won't get it, but this is kind of state of the game for Khan. Like, he has been so dominant throughout the course of this Worlds. 22.5 CSD at 15 minutes. 22.5. That's insane.
I mean, the 1.5k gold at 15 would be really good for a whole team. It's just him.
Oh. Khan has been very impressive, and he continues that impressive performance here in this game. I suppose that if you're looking at it from the Mad Lions perspective, the fact that they've stayed relatively even this far into the early game is already a big improvement. Contrast what we saw during their group stages, where this is where they've often been punished, trying to force a lot of plays, where the execution has often been punished. Damwon have found lane advantages, but that's only resulted in a 400 gold lead for now.
I think it's a good point, and we know how good Mad can be in the team fight. And they definitely have those kind of X factors that can change a game for the 5v5. The Mega Gnar, the Shockwave, the engage from Kaiser can flip a game on its head. So, you know, Matt not in a bad position here whatsoever. Armut, though, could be in trouble.
Building up towards that Mega Gnar, but Khan just continues to put needle after needle into his back. Armut forced away, forced off the wave. Khan will farm this one and push it forward. Rift Herald coming in the mid lane as well. That should get at least a couple of plates. The Showmaker continues to harass. Quickness coming out. Beryl going to go in with a charm. There's the bullet time. Solar Flare was short from Kaiser. Didn't land it on Ghost, didn't get the stun, only got the slow, and that doesn't stop the bullet time from raining down.
Nicely done there from Beryl. Recognizes that Kaiser is not in the lane. Kazi doesn't have cleanse, and he just waits for the flash to come through, and they're able to find a quick and easy kill. Now, Armut is the one getting aggressive in the 1v1, but he's not going to win out on an extended trade. He will just use his ult to disengage. And I'm surprised that neither team has actually gone for the Drake. I feel like that there's been very clear windows for both teams, but they're going to hold off for now.
This is almost back to like how the first round robin was, where it was all just playing around gold leads, playing around lanes. The dragons were getting almost completely ignored. And it is interesting to see kind of a return to that, because in the second round robin, it was all about stacking those early dragons. As soon as Kaiser leaves, though, there's just no hesitation here. Barrel straight on in to Carzzy.
Just very clean execution there and a really big punish from the Dom1 bot lane. A much needed advantage, because now you can see that all of a sudden that very early, or that gold difference that was non-existent has now very quickly accelerated in favor of Dom1.
And one of the scary things is Carzzy now flashed down. That was not the flash used from Barrel, so the potential of Canyon getting down there, of Barrel utilizing his flash to pick him off in the next fight, does get that much higher.
The thing there for Carzzy is you kind of have to flash as soon as you see the quickness. You can't really react to the quickness W. It's that short range as Canyon looks for a fight down towards this bottom lane. Dragon's Rage on Elioy. He's going to try and trade this one back. There's a slipping incredible predictions from Beryl. That's the reason he's one of the best in the world. And now Carzzy underneath the tower. The Moonlight Vigil will not save you now. 2 quick kills to Dom1.
Okay, Beryl, that was nasty. Over the wall there, has the prediction. And now they're going to get the dragon. Matt, unfortunately, not even able to trade back there on Canyon. It wasn't even his flash. It was just multiple ward hops, it looked like, closing the gap. And is he able to get that ward hop kick in on Yelioya?
And it was Beryl that was one of the players that received a lot of criticism for Dam1 throughout the year. Someone that was seen to, like, does he still have that same engaged playmaking potential that he had before? I would say yeah, at least in this game he's coming in strong. He's been able to punish Carzzy.
Playmaking, check.
Yeah, it definitely does have that, and now he punishes Elioya as well. Dam1 very quickly taking control of this early transition into the mid game, and now they'll start sieging onto these tier 1 towers, and after a good trade from Khan and good pressure from Showmaker, they're likely going to knock down these first towers.
I mean, that's flash down for Armut, right? He's just using the ultimate. Khan, every single time it comes up, he's using it to trade. He has the Leeching Leer, he has superior sustain, and he's going to have the Riftmaker here very soon, so he knows just go aggressive every single time. Here it is one more time. Elioya and Kaiser trying to compete for vision in the mid lane, but it's all about the move here from Showmaker. Showmaker's coming over, and Humanoid is not able to actually join, so all Matt can do is retreat.
What I liked there was Elioya was expecting the kick, so he then dashes preemptively, but Canyon's like, nope, I'm not going to kick you yet. But then the moment that the stun comes through from Kaiser, he's like, okay, now I can make the play. I know that you don't have your dash available, and just really good patience there from Canyon with the follow-up from Beryl to allow Dam1 to get themselves a good number of kills.
It's the second time in 2 plays that we've seen Dam1 with that little bit of extra patience. The quickness down in the bottom lane, now into that kick, and over the last 3 minutes, it's gone from a relatively even game to a 3,000 gold lead for the world champs. 1, apparently that's his name, at Vincent. The fan prediction was proof that the fans are overdosing on hopium. I will say, guys, as a medical professional, can't overdose on hopium, just makes you very sleepy. I know I'm going to be having a nap after this series. So.
Well, I think the EU fans are going to need a lot more hopium after this early game, because right now, Dam1, we've already talked about it with the compositions. I feel like that there's a scaling problem with Khan in a side lane. There's a range problem with the Syndra MF, and like the way in which Mad are going to have to navigate these team fights. I think it's going to be a difficult challenge for them, especially now that they find themselves at a 3,000 gold deficit.
I like these kind of plays, though. No one actually here to answer the wave, but if someone were there, well, they have 3 Mad players bot. You look for these odd number of plays. You look for a 3v1, a 3v2, where you can find some sort of a pick. But Dam1 knows that bot side is weak side. They're just going to ignore that. They're going to trade on top side utilizing the Herald. And likely, they can just go for a second charge here after claiming this first tier 1.
See Mad trying to react. Armut, Elioya on the way up here. Humanoid will get the tower in the bottom lane. No TP on him, so won't be able to join a fight if it does erupt on the top side. Dam1, all 5 players within arm's reach of each other. Carzzy trying to come across, but Khan is holding him at bay. Mad Lions, another charge of this Rift Tower will come in for Dam1 Kia. Mad Lions smited away. Beryl going in with the quickness. There's a charm for the time. And the combo's just too darn deadly. Elioya is down. Bereft of life, he rests in peace. And perhaps with it, Mad's hopes of winning this game.
Dam1 just make it look so easy. They know they have 5 players. They know that Humanoid is bot. They also probably know that Humanoid does not have teleport.
Yeah.
And once again, Beryl with his engage, he just walks up underneath and he says, well, Elioya, you still don't have flash, so I'm going to punish you. Dam1 get themselves a tier 2, they get themselves another kill, and they continue to dominate as we transition into the mid game.
I just think it was so well done. Even the zoning from Khan, zoning Carzzy out, making it more delayed. The initial play is basically like a 5v3. Carzzy is not really able to contribute too much. They know Humanoid's bot side. The one little piece of hopeful news is that Humanoid got so much gold on the bot side. He got both of those towers, but here it is again. Carzzy not there just yet. Barrel going in. Again, prediction on that jump back, and now Humanoid's in trouble.
Sometimes hope dies pretty quickly after it is born. Flash away from the shockwave, and Humanoid in a side lane dies.
Well, he was in the river.
He was in the side lane to start it off.
He definitely did. So that small bit of hope suddenly disappears and it is shut down by Canyon. Does have to invest a flash, and now Mad looking to try and punish Showmaker. His flash is on cooldown, but recognizes the potential collapse. And again, I think that we're just seeing an example of Damwon and how they read the map so well. They recognize where they have numbers advantage and where they can punish their opposition. And they've done a great job so far in this game to put them in the position that they're now in.
I'm gonna be honest though, the gold lead's not as bad as it feels, right? Like it feels like a stomp right now. It is getting, you know, up to a 4K. But Matt have done a pretty good job of trading back. Humanoid is closing in on a second item. You always have that slim hope of looking for that big team fight. If you can find the multi-man Shockwave, if you can find the multi-man Meganar. But the thing is, Matt is going to have to find that window, I think, pretty soon, because if you give too much time to Damwon, they're going to bleed you out of this game. They're going to take over your jungle. They're going to split push you out. Obviously, the Riftmaker has been done for some time now. Moving on now towards the Cosmic Drive. And when Gwen hits that, there's just really no escaping her in a side lane.
The problem I see for Mad is the only towers that they've been able to take her down in the bot lane, whereas Damwon have just kind of opened up the map. And that
there's some problems.
That inherently gives them so much control over the river. And that's kind of where the struggles for me come from Mad, because if I was Mad in this game, I'd be looking like, how do we even move into the river when every time we push a wave, it's just going to hit a tower and instantly get cleared?
I guess the one benefit for Mad, one bad thing for Damwon is how late that first dragon was, as Khan looks for a kill in the top lane. Need a work coming out. Armor trying to dash away. The charm from Beryl as well, and Humanoid TP's in to what could be an early death. Manages to flash away. Shockwave was used, as Mad have to retreat after looking for that TP fight.
Oh, they're looking for the flank.
After finding that pick, Damwon know where Mad are, and now they're looking to collapse.
Look at the damage onto Elyoya. So much work being done here by Ghost. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Carzzy dies. Showmaker and Canyon pick him up. And it's just one after the other. The Mad Lions are walking into their coffins.
All right, the hope is dead. It's getting rough here. It was nice while it lasted. I mean, Carzzy trying to come over to support the team there, but they have no vision. So Canyon, Showmaker, they just turn around, they pick off the marksman, and now it is straight on to Baron. No answer in sight here for Mad. That Baron is going down.
It certainly is. A 20-minute Baron. The Misfortune ult's going to come out just for good measure, but an absolute stomping here from Damwon. And you'll see that Carzzy's just like, hey, I can poke Canyon here, I can punish. Haha, surprise, it's Showmaker. Just lying in wait in the bush, able to one-shot Carzzy.
What's up with that?
It's never a fair fight. But you know what? League was never meant to be a fair fight.
I knew that as soon as I saw some of the teammates I was getting. It's still not a fair fight here.
Damwon, though, continuing to be dominant. 20-1 in their last 21 games. Obviously going 6-0 in the group stage here. Last time they lost a series was all the way back in July, and that seems to be continuing as they are currently 6,000 gold ahead of Mad. Humanoid looked for the Shockwave, but couldn't quite find it. Cannon coming in from the side as well, as Ghost is chunked to half. Mad Lions needs to get out of here because it's the 3v4 in just a second. There's the ult coming out from Beryl. They know Humanoid has no flash, and they know that they can pick him off easy as that. Canyon on a killing spree, 3-0-2. Khan coming in from the side as well as Kaiser. He's just trying to get back to base. He just wants to drink some of the delicious juice of the fountain where he can drink it now, as Khan will kill him as well. And Damwon Kia just find pick after pick after pick.
And you can see that Mad are just kind of in desperation mode right now. They recognize that the position that they're in is a very, very bad one. So they're just trying to find whatever picks they can. They commit onto a play onto Ghost. Damwon is in a position to collapse. They end up finding more kills. They will secure another tier 2 tower. And 20 minutes in, they're already knocking on the doors of Mad Lions base.
It's getting tough here for Mad. And I think at this point, you know, you look for one big fight, maybe you try to look for some sort of a turnaround. But beyond that, I think you're thinking about game 2. You're thinking about adjustments that you could make as 22 minutes in. Do they look for the fight now? Carzzy just struggling to even clear these waves against Khan.
And a lot of it comes back to when Betty was saying the early towers meant that Mad couldn't push in. This was a perfect moment for a Gnar TP flank. But they have no vision.
Like now?
Because Damwon have done so much. They have one ward here. Perhaps they can look for the Gnar TP flank. But meanwhile, in the top lane, bot lane, Humanoid dies once again. And the Gnar TP flank, yeah, nah, that's not it. Mad Lions not able to get anything out of it. Beryl still looking for a flank of his own. The quickness not yet off cooldown. Armor goes into the Mega. but Damwon Kia are looking to close this one out.
They're looking to dive.
Won't be able to find it. Damwon retreat. Bot lane inhibitor still an option for them as they take the mid tier 2.
Yeah, they're just paying respect to the Mega Gnar. They know that would be one of the only ways you could lose there if you try to dive into Mega Gnar and things go bad. So instead, they wait out Armut's Narbar. They push in bot. Mid is getting buffed up here by Ghost as well, and they are looking.
They are looking dominant. I agree with you. Like, there's not many words that can describe this. An obliteration, an annihilation, the atomized Mad Lions, all of those, I think, fit the bill for this sort of situation. Damwon Kia continuing their dominance from the group stage. Now 8,000 gold ahead. Baron has expired. A minute on the Ocean Drake, but 2 inhibitors down. Mad Lions are very much against the ropes.
So let's have a look in this Axe Effect replay as Humanoid dies. This is just another really good engage from Damwon, and Beryl on this Rakan, he has had so many great engages pretty much throughout the game, and this is Mad's counterattack. They try to collapse onto Ghost, he has the cleanse to disengage, and now they know, hey, there's a collapse coming in from the bot lane. We as 3 members can zone off the 4 from Mad because we're that much stronger, and we can just slowly take more and more away from the Mad Lions.
Yeah, Damwon just playing it incredibly well. I have to say, Canyon has had a hell of a game here on the Lee Sin. And that is potentially going to make Mad rethink some of the draft priorities. You know, are they going to want to try to switch sides? Are they going to want to try to more highly prioritize a ban on something like the Lee Sin? Because Canyon has been everywhere, and he has been looking damn good.
I think that the problem Mad face is one that kind of the analyst has talked at length about, which is that, okay, so you're playing into a top laner that seems to have a much deeper champion pool, got himself a winning matchup.
Gotta worry about top.
And now there's Rakan and Canyon, who are also just having a field day right now in terms of their engages. And I think that Mad, moving into game 2, need to look at more priority in their lanes, because if you give this much priority, you see the result.
So what Canyon does so well. Works with his top and his mid laner just to get into the enemy jungle to steal away camps, to steal away ganks. And now Damwon looking for their final inhibitor of the game. Mad Lions will be able to clear out the wave, but Damwon just have to wait. You've got double supers in the bottom lane. You've got a super wave here now crashing in the mid. And Humanoid, yes, you can try and clear these out, but the supers are pretty tanky. Shirelli popped by Beryl, though, I believe. Still has the quickness. Doesn't have the flash for about half its cooldown.
Slow and steady here for Damwon, trying to make sure there is no doubt in this game. They want those waves coming in top same time as mid and bot, and now stepping forward here a little bit aggressively, getting some damage down.
Shockwave misses, Khan goes onto the back line. There's the bullet time as well, and Elyoya has to use the collateral damage to try and get away from it. Khan dived a little bit too deep there as Mad Lions were able to get one shut down, but it will not be enough to save their top lane inhibitor tower, and because of the super minions pushing in, they can't push out for anything more.
So the only good news here for Mad is that the game still isn't over, and they will be able to stall for a little bit longer. But Damwon, yes, can't overcommit just a tad, but they still take down the final tier 3 tower. Damwon should still have easy access towards the Drake, and even though they fall short here slightly in this fight, Damwon's still in control.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that, yeah, the Shroud, it looked like maybe immune to the shockwave there. I'm not sure if he dashed out of range of it or if it was just the Shroud itself, but not able to connect there, and without that major team fight tool, they do get one, can't get any more. And yes, Damwon do give up their top laner, but now it is 3 exposed inhibitors, and that really kind of hamstrings any opportunity that Mad have to turtle out an inhib and to try to slow down this game.
Especially with the Baron up once again. Damwon could just set up vision up towards this top side and then take the Baron, push in with the supers, push in with the top wave. It becomes basically impossible for Mad Lions to hold on to their base. And it's something we've seen Damwon do over and over and over and over again over the last years. Definitely the most domestically dominant and internationally dominant team we've seen in the last 2 years.
And I like what Damwon's doing. They don't even like gamble it. They already have the vision control. They have enough vision to be able to set this one up. Showmaker kind of hovering with Beryl, and once Damwon realize, hey, they're not contesting us, we're fine, we'll just grab the Baron and we'll look to end the game. No wasting time with Damwon. They know that this is a best of 5. They know they've got another game to get through, and they want to get straight to business. So, 1 inhibitor left exposed, and that is going to be the objective of their choice.
And you also close out the possibility that Mad find that perfect team fight. The one team fight that they often find in games like this. Kaiser was caught out in a bush. He will fall, as you say. Great awareness from Damwon to think about the fact someone could be lying in wait.
That's the classic Fnatic brush, right? You know, the one where Mad is just lying in wait looking for a pick, and Ghost uses the E to spot that one out very easy. They get themselves a pick, and now securing this inhibitor will be even easier.
Exactly. I mean, it's Dom 1. You just have to think about the couple ways that possibly something could go wrong, and there's not a lot of them at this point. And then just check all those boxes, pushing it on all sides. Mid and top coming in here, 5v4, the Baron buff as well. These towers are going to start to get knocked down.
Kazi trying to clear out the waves with the Infernum, but Mad are penned back behind their own Nexus towers. Damwon waiting for the inhibitor to spawn in the bottom lane. 4 seconds on that. 3, 2, 1, and almost as it spawns, it's likely to go down. Mid-wave also there for the mid lane inhibitor that's about to come back up as well. Mad Lions might be the last moment they see these two inhibitors standing for the rest of the game. Ghost and Khan pushing in the bottom lane. Showmaker in the mid, holding on to that force of will, holding on to that sphere just to look in the face of Humanoid. Look for that scatter of the weak, can't quite land it. Khan going in, Bell's looking to Humanoid as well, and Humanoid is locked up. The bullet time comes out, and Humanoid once again dies. Damwon Kia now on the Nexus towers. They want to make this one short and sweet. Mad Lions retreat to the fountain, but there is no safety there. Damwon Kia killing Mad in their own base. We'll look to the Nexus towers. We'll look to close this one out, and we'll look to go 1-0 up in this series.
A nearly flawless game from Damwon from start to finish. Lane control into mid-game masterpiece. Just an excellent game one and absolute dominance coming out from Damwon to set the tone for the series.
And they absolutely got the maximum from these advantages that they eked out. The mid lane, all these early trades from Showmaker, pushing Humanoid back, forcing out the TP early. That got him the edge. Then it's the TP down towards bot side, getting 2 kills early on for Damwon, getting them already rolling. Khan was winning the 1v1 naturally from the get-go. It was always going his way. And then at that point, Damwon are winning all 3 lanes, and Mad's options become incredibly limited, especially when you aren't playing a playmaking jungler. You know, Elyoya is on the Graves. It's about